let's start with some burning questions for you here.
Okay.
What was the craziest thing you ever had to do to get a styling job done? You know, you probably don't do regularly, but you're like, whoa, like that was crazy.
I'm gonna tell about one that did not get done.
I
doing
would
that.
have had my heart ripped out of my chest.
I was like for a week with the same clothes.
Oh my god.
I would like shower and put back the same clothes because every day I thought that I was okay. Now we're going.
The
Now we're going.
stylist
Now we're going.
that wears the same outfit.
And then when we realized that we wouldn't have enough time to like do everything that we wanted to do, I just put a bunch of hats.
I saw, but that was my favorite part. I had no idea this was improvised.
And
I'm
it
like
turned
shocked.
out it was completely improvised.
It was a moment that was like, whoa, like I was about to like write to you like, what the hell just happened? Like
The
this is
TikTokers were going
iconic.
crazy. The TikToks were going like, this is how you do it.
Like you go, Shu, and you're like patting yourself in the back.
Oh my god.
And you know, I want to get into a fun little question here. How do you deal with outrageous requests from a client or a magazine, or like it's something you're like, oh shoot, I've never done this before. This is not possible. How do you deal with that?
Okay, so if you asked me that back then, like a few years ago, I would say that I would just like drive myself nuts trying to make that happen. You know, it's the whole thing. It's in any profession. Like when you're starting, like you just need to make that happen. Like I remember when I got my first when they asked me like, oh, can you do in Brazil as it says called fashion production?
Yes.
Like can you do fashion production? Since I started in New York, I never heard that name before. So I thought, okay, I don't know what that is, but I can only say yes or no. Okay, yes.
Yes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. Okay. Yes.
So I had to figure that out as I went, you know. So in the beginning, yeah, I just like make it happen no matter what it is. You can ask me whatever it is. I made it happen. Nowadays, I'm more like, you know, no, I'm sorry, that can't be done. You know, that's
You're
not
more
how it
straightforward because
works.
you're also confident in your work and you know what can be done and what can't,
Yes.
different than maybe the beginning,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and nowadays it doesn't make sense for me to add the risk factor on this. You know, the risk of things might go wrong because of that crazy request that you're having. You know, I need to be, you know, clear with that. Which
Realistic.
yeah, because now I have the experience to know that hey, this can go very wrong. You know, so but back then I didn't, so I would just like go ahead and do it.
Say yes to it all.
Yeah, it's the thing of, you know, like young people, like they just
Yeah.
don't.
And also I think because you're afraid to not being called back maybe, or not, like if I don't do
That's
this,
true.
they don't want to work with me anymore.
Yeah.
So you're always under that pressure.
Yeah.
Whereas now that obviously you're a lead stylist for so many years, you're like, okay, I know what can or can be done, or I know
Yeah.
how to deal with this client better.
Yeah.
So there's ways of saying no to people as
Yeah,
well.
I
And
have
being
history
like,
to back me up. You know, like
I
the
know
thing
what
of
I'm telling you,
experience.
and
Yeah.
this can be done.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I think the more you educate
Not only
yourself,
wrinkles come with age, you know, like it also comes experience. So there's the good and the bad things.
that couldn't be more true. That couldn't
Yeah.
be more true. Seriously though. And in this day and age, right? What would you say is a good strategy or way to get booked and be seen by clients today?
So there's many ways. I mean, there's Instagram, you know, that I'm so bad at. Gosh.
We were just talking about
Yes.
this, guys.
Oh
to,
my God.
to work on Ju's Instagram. Go check it out if you
Yes.
haven't seen it. We're gonna
Ay,
leave
ay.
obviously her handle here for you
I
guys.
have
as
so many
always.
good things that I don't post.
I agree.
Oh my God. And the day-to-day that you were talking about that is so interesting, you know, like, because we're so focused on doing what we have to do that is already so hard that we don't have the time to do, you know, to think of that, you know, let me show that experience, which is so interesting, you know.
Absolutely.
Like, there's that. But the thing that I always say, and it's the key, is you need to get in the business. You need to get in the industry. So I started by doing test shoots.
Me too.
That's the thing. So test shoots are the fake shoots.
Yes, yes.
It's practicing, you know. It's like when you, so I was working as an assistant with a big photographer, a big stylist, a big model, everything. In that big shoot, there was the assistant of the photographer, the assistant of the makeup artist, you know. There was an assistant of the model, but you know, you gotta
All the assistants in the different
Yeah.
fields right behind
you
the
get
scenes.
like a
yeah.
smaller model, you know,
Of
somebody that
course.
also needs image. The things that everybody needs portfolio, everybody needs images, and then needs material. So all these people have an interest to do a test shoot, which is when you gather all these people and you try.
Absolutely.
Right, so it's also very creative. It's also you putting in you know, in practice your work, because it's
work.
one thing for you to be seen a lot of things and think like, oh, this is great, and I would sell this way, that way. And then when you put it on and you are shooting, you realize, okay, this doesn't look so good on camera. Why is that?
It happens so much.
It's very important, test shoots, very important, because that's where you actually learn how to be a stylist.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I think also an interesting thing I realized is like when I was, for example, being an assistant, like that I've assisted in other projects or whatever, and then there's assistant of the photographer, like you just mentioned, these people end up becoming bigger. And so sometimes they refer you, like they are now a photographer, and maybe you're still an assistant, but they're like, oh my God, this girl was great, so let me bring her in. So a lot of word of mouth, right?
Yeah, that's the point, because then you start to actually meet a lot of people in the business, and they're gonna get, you know, the assistant of the photographer is gonna get that small job that maybe the photographer couldn't do, and he passed it to him, and he's gonna think of you, and this is it. People thinking of you. That's how you actually start.
I agree. That is so true.
In my experience, it's not in this start actually. Like it's not the Instagram. It's not. It's the people that you work with, the beginning. Amazing. And then later on, of course, Instagram can help you, you know, grow and get more known and all of this. Or maybe somebody has a strategy on Instagram that I don't know of.
Right.
I don't know. But in my experience, it's 100% the people, the business,
people, the connections.
Getting to know the people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And bringing it, you know, now to Juliana today, you know, the busy stylist. A lot of people, you know, thank God, in the past decade almost, we've given so much importance to mental health. Right, and how do we keep ourselves positive, ourselves, you know, up and going, and you know, because as human beings we're very complex, and we have great days, and then we have days that we feel a little bit more sad, and then we have days that we feel a little bit not motivated, right? And I know that the job you have particularly, which, you know, I was also on it for so long, it can get tricky. So in your case, how do you keep your mental health and positivity in check while managing multiple jobs, and in your specific case, traveling the world at the same time?
So for me, to be very honest here, like I only started to worry about that, let's say, like that became like becoming a thing in my life after the pandemic.
Okay.
Before that, like you know, like I was lucky to not have big issues with that. I was like living my life, not caring,
just
being
going.
crazy, just going, just, you know. With the pandemic, I started to realize that that's a big thing, especially for us, because what we do is 100% guided by passion, as you were saying. It's just, you know, like you have to feel stimulated to do what you do. So if you don't feel that, like nothing comes out.
Literally.
There's no, like, you know, it's not mechanical, you know, so it's not like, you know, people that have a regular job that goes to the office and get what they need to get done. We don't have that. We need to have ideas. We need to, you know, be like you know, like happy and to do the right connections and talk to the right people. So when you're not feeling well, your job goes really bad, which is scary for us, you know, because it might happen that you might not feel well.
Yes,
you know,
so many.
Yeah. So to work on that, I think it's all the, you know, like everybody has their way of dealing with that. So I do
behavioral therapy.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. Because they teach you how to organize your mind and do things in a way. For example, my therapist had told me that a very interesting thing for me to do is like to create that you know, when you have like that shiny moment when you feel so creative and you're like having all the ideas, she's teaching me how to create that moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for not just to wait for it to happen naturally.
I see. For you to have those, like those moments and those feelings on your own.
How to provoke that, you know, how to like instigate that.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
so
I actually did not know of this. I'm learning of this with you.
That for me was like a huge tip that she gave me. So for me, that is, so as freelancers, usually we have like, you know, sometimes we have like the free time of being at home and, you know, creating our set, our mood. So for me, like I turn on like music and I get all my books around, and sometimes it's like something manual that like I want to like, you know, do like, you know, try to do ceramic with like the stones that I brought from my boyfriend's house in Italy. Like I bring the stones with me, like. So anyway, like I try to do all this like manual stuff, and that for me creates that, you know, moment of shine.
Absolutely.
You know, and that brings creativity, and that helps me a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think everybody has their own way of like kind of disconnecting and connecting back to yourself, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a great tip, and looking for help is never, if anything, is the strongest thing you can do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And finding different ways to deal with those moments, because for example, for me, I think I'm a very active person like you. And when I had those moments of like, okay, maybe this week there's not so much to do, I would go crazy. I would put myself down.
That's true.
I would get super sad. I'm like, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
I'm not active enough. Even I would drive my team crazy, you know, like of like, why are we not doing this? Why are we still here like stuck? And then the next week, we're so busy we can't even breathe.
Because our life is a roller coaster.
Literally.
You have like the woo, and then like woo, what's happening here?
Right? There's months that you're booked for like every single day. Like you were just saying, you're gonna be now in Brazil. That like we could barely even schedule an interview there, so we had to come to New York to see you. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I think similar to you, I also needed to start really looking for therapy, for help, for other hobbies that I enjoy to do, to kind of like disconnect and reconnect with my own value and being like, it's okay, I'm a freelancer. This week I'm more relaxed and enjoy this time and learn how to enjoy that time too. So you can really, really pick up later and have all the energy you can have to confront the crazy jobs you have for the next month. So it's actually a positive thing. It's just how you perceive it, right? And how you see that time being.
Yeah.
So
it's
super
a pursuit
helpful.
of passion, you know, you need to like chase it. You know, like when you don't feel it, like automatically, you chase it. You know, like you find a way to remember the things that you like, what makes you happy, what makes you inspired.
And you know, for our creatives that want to become stylists or are already stylists and want to focus more on something, would you say that today there's more opportunities for stylists with celebrities, with brands, with magazines, or not really? Like there's a little bit of everything.
There's a little bit of everything. It depends on what you feel close to. What is your inspiration? You know, like do I get more inspired on that? Because it's very different. Very like completely different dressing a person or doing an editorial.
And a lot of people don't really know that, so it would be you know, it's interesting. What do you say is like the biggest challenge, considering like what's the biggest difference for you of working with a celebrity, for example, or working with Elle or with a brand?
So, so when you're working with Elle, with Elle Magazine, and you're doing an editorial, it's the most artistic thing that you can do in this profession. Yeah. So it's the whole thing that we were talking about before. You know, the create a mood board, you get inspired, you're an artist,
and you can do more what you want to do, like your real aesthetic, right?
Yeah, like basically 100%, right? Like you're very free on editorials. And then when you're working with a celebrity, of course, I mean, it's that person there, you know, so of course they want to showcase their personality, and it's our job to know how to, you put your style, of course, because that's why they hired you. But it's your job to know what their style is as well.
Absolutely.
And for you to match that. And also maybe, so sometimes, here's where the problem can happen. Because sometimes they have their style and they are focused on like, this is what my style is. But our job is to understand what their style is and try to level it up, right? And some celebrities do that very well and go way up, and some don't. They get stuck sometimes with, that's my style and that's what I'm comfortable with, and they keep it there, you know. So it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, you know, that can happen too.
I agree. It has happened to me multiple times. So it's nice that we understand that difference here with you.
Yeah.
And I agree that I think today magazines are like picking up too again, even now online and everything. So I think
thank God.
There's always there's always like a little bit of opportunity anywhere. It just really depends like what the person feels like they want to do the most, right?
Yeah.
That matches more your personality.
Yeah, exactly. Because me, for example, I'm not that good with celebrities, influencers, all of that. It's not that I'm not good, but it's not my biggest passion.
Right.
Let's say.
You said it perfectly.
Yes. Yeah. And some people are so good at that. You know, some people are just like boom, 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 boom. Like they do it so well, and I admire them. You know, many of my co-workers, like colleagues, they are like super good at that. And me, I like it. I get excited about some stuff. Like I like the thing of new brands and the fact that influencers can like wear all these like different brands and all of that. But I'm picky.
Yes.
So
I know.
like you guys can see from my Instagram, which are the ones that I love.
That you love, exactly. And I think sometimes it is all about that, because you know, there's people that are okay. Like I loved dealing with people per se. So I think that's why I went a lot in that celebrity route. I love talking to them. I love understanding why they feel that way. So like that was very much for me.
Here we are, perfect example.
Exactly. So it's exactly what you're saying. I think it just depends on like you understanding what your fortes are, right? and being like, okay, I think I'm better at just like creating these mood boards on my own, just going for it, or I really love working with people and kind of managing that whole scenario, which was my case. And that's why I fully like logged into that, you know, after a few years. So that makes a lot of sense.
And that happens very naturally, right? Like you kind of like go towards that way, like naturally. That's what happens.
It's exactly what you said. Once you start in the field, and then you start doing something specific, like your niche, like you were very good with brands and editorial. I know that you're so strong with that. And for me, like I loved working with people and with the celebrities themselves. So once it goes well with one, then people reference you to the next one. And it's not like, oh my God, crazy. God is amazing. God is incredible, you know, and he definitely paves the way for all of us. But I think that it's something that like once you start and things go well here and there, that's when the real opportunities come to you, right? And, you know, one of the biggest reasons, Ju, I started the MV series was because, you know, being so many years behind the scenes, I noticed that sometimes a lot of the general people, everybody out there that's not really immersed in the celebrity or fashion world, they don't know much about people like stylists or like hairstylists. They maybe know who they are, what they do here and there, but like how their experience really is, or like crediting fully every job they do is not as common. Do you think though that today, you know, behind the scenes artists such as yourself are beginning to be more seen, are beginning to be more credited than they were before? And then that means you get more clients because of that too?
So there's two sides of this. There's a side that, for sure, because now because of Instagram, people can actually go, you know, understand the whole like internet as a whole. Like it allows you to research and to understand. So if you're curious about that subject, you know, you can research, you can understand as much as you want. And with that, with Instagram, you can follow that people in their day to day. So it makes it so much more visible than before. And I'm talking before, like not that back.
Yeah, that's the thing. We feel like it was like 30 years ago, and it really was not.
Before Instagram was like, you know.
I think even when I was working with you, like it was just starting, you know, and like it wasn't still like, okay, maybe there's some things, but it didn't even help us as artists very much because it was just like picking up as a platform.
Exactly. I had that in mind because I was gonna mention that for the shows. You know, that like I would let my assistants go to the shows. Like nowadays, when they go to the shows, I asked them to film that, and I can post that too. You know, but back then I didn't remember if they did that.
They just went to the shows to have the experience. It was an easier world out there. That's for sure. It was an easier world out there.
But anyway, going back, like the things that nowadays, they have more visibility. But also I feel like in the past, and now I'm talking about my past as well, like not even in my time, like the time of like the like big editors and the highest times of the magazines, you know, when they were like, you know, scary and all that.
Yes, that is true.
They were powerful. I hear stories, you know, that they were powerful. They would be like, I want an elephant here. And they would like bring an elephant to the set.
Wow, that's crazy.
I actually heard that story for Harper's Bazaar.
That's crazy.
That they decided that they wanted an elephant during the shoot, and they managed to bring an elephant to the shoot.
Oh, wow.
That's how powerful they were, you know? So I didn't live those times.
Yeah, and I think with obviously the print magazine maybe era like not existing as much, not being as important today, right? Now that's why they were so smart to bring it online, and now they relived. But I think definitely it was different times, and it's crazy to think how much we've evolved and how today I get really happy to see that everybody gets credit, especially on Instagram. Like you need to put even the DP, the first AD, and then like there's all these people that are credited, which, you know, it's an evolution from what we used to have back then. But it's crazy to think how powerful this magazines and institutions were back in the day when print was really everything too.
But it's still not well. I feel like it's still like printed media is still learning. They're still not like fully back, I would say. Because they're still learning how to deal with this world. Because as I said, you know, it takes so long to get one image out. How can we like relearn to do things in the fast fashion way? You know, we don't even feel comfortable with that concept. You know, so they're still learning ways to monetize, you know,
in this fast-paced world now.
The information that they have to give.
Absolutely.
So even I heard an example of LUS
Mm-hmm.
that they were doing the whole affiliates program over everything that they would mention, post, all of that, and they can do that in the US because the US, all the brands have the affiliate
Absolutely.
program, whereas in Brazil they don't have that as much yet.
Right, so it's still like a slower moving.
Yeah, and also I imagine like in other countries, but that could be like a direction for the printed media to
evolve.
survive. But we see
this-
so many magazines closing.
I know.
Like a few weeks ago, Paper magazine closed.
I'm like shocked with this news too, and I think that that is the only sad part of like this digital world is like, where do we fit in the actual art that takes time to do? Where do we fit in like the real artists that are working
Yeah.
behind,
Yeah.
and the time they take to make something beautiful happen.
Yeah.
So wow, that is crazy. And talking about print magazines, I think that one of my absolute favorite jobs that you've done recently was the Elle cover with Viola Davis at the
Oh
end
my
of last year,
God,
the Elle Brazil cover. That was so
Yeah.
gorgeous, guys. You need to check this out on Ju's Instagram. It was so beautiful, so tasteful.
That was super viral.
Right? I
And I couldn't
know.
follow up because, as I said, I'm really bad at this. So
We're
I
gonna
couldn't-
get you
yes,
there. We're gonna
there was
get
so
you
many
there.
reviews on TikTok and like so many people talking about it.
It was insane. That's why
yeah.
I wanted to bring this to the table. How was working with the incredible Viola
The
Davis? I even
goat.
like stuttered here, the
Yeah.
goat. How was that experience working
Yeah.
with her, doing that shoot? How was that for you?
Guys, it was crazy. Like that was one shoot that I think we prepared for like 2 months before.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
because you
we-
really wanted to be perfect.
Yes, we
Yeah.
had so many meetings. The photographers were like amazing. They're so sensible. The art director Luciano was like, he did so many things like hand painted scenarios.
Wow.
Like everything was so well thought. And that was in LA, and the team was from Brazil, since Elle Brazil. So they had to bring all this stuff
Oh wow.
to the US, all this like hand painted backdrops and all of this. And guys, it was so fast. My God.
Really? It passed too fast.
Because we had like 2 months of preparation, so many meetings, like 1,000 backdrops and all this stuff, and then like we were so like in love with all this that for some reason, here's like where like a lot of like very professional people that are like used to deal with all this stuff, we got completely dumb in this like in the sense of time.
Right.
We were like, okay, like we're gonna do this and this and this. At no point we thought, okay, we're not gonna have time to do all of this.
Like the lady has to go somewhere else,
I mean,
right?
she's like,
Yeah.
she needs to go. She was actually catching a plane to Brazil because she was gonna.
No way.
Yeah, she was gonna talk about her movie here, there in Brazil, and yeah, she was going there.
Oh my God.
And but yeah, like it's very funny because we did the whole part like super like well fun. We're taking our time, and it was gorgeous. It was like all those pictures like with the Loewe dress, like
Yes.
this, yeah. And then when we realized that we wouldn't have enough time to like do everything that we wanted to do, I just brought a bunch of hats.
I saw, but that was my favorite part. I had no idea this was improvised.
And
I'm
it
like
turned
shocked.
out it was completely improvised.
It was
I
my
wanted to do a
favorite
lot of
picture.
hats,
Was the hat
but
It was incredible.
it was like a trick to do like as many pictures as we could, as fast as
Just
we could, so we wouldn't have
switching
to
the head.
change. Yeah, so we wouldn't have to bring her back, and it was
Wow,
a thing.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. And I just saw her. The reason I loved it so much is like I hadn't seen her in a similar light yet, like in that type of like outfits.
A lot of people
and
told me that.
it was
Yeah.
so crazy. And was she comfortable with that? Like, did she feel
She was, and I think I was crazy to not be scared about that.
right? Because I
Yeah.
would have been. That's what I was
Yes.
gonna ask you.
Yeah, the fashion editor of Elle, Lucas, he was like, "Are you crazy? Like, what the fuck are you doing? She's not gonna wear that." Like, but she went full on latex, full on all of this because for me, she's such a sexy woman,
Right.
and she sweats that, she shows that with her eyes. I don't know. So she's so strong for me. So for me, I feel like I needed to showcase her as this like fucking sexy, strong woman that
Absolutely.
she is.
Absolutely.
And that's how I went with the fashion. And no second I stopped to think about, okay, she's Viola Davis, she might be uncomfortable with this or with that. Didn't think of like that she might feel uncomfortable with her body because for me she's so sexy.
Right. Right.
So I just went with whatever like the image that I wanted to create.
You're brave.
And she went for it. She wore the Marc Jacobs heels
No way. The platforms.
on top of a stone. Yeah.
So she can balance her whole act too. Besides being so powerful, so talented.
Yeah. That's when I realized that I was crazy. I
incredible.
was like, did I not think about that? Like, and she went for it.
Wow,
She went
it's
for
so
all of
nice
it.
to see that and that side of her come out too. And
Yeah.
I think that because you didn't think about it so much and because you were so fearless and just like I'm just gonna go for it, maybe like she felt that energy and she was like, okay, let's do
Maybe.
this, you know?
Yeah.
And
Maybe that
she's
was it.
fearless. She just
Yeah.
gives that sense of being fearless, right? So I
Yeah.
think that when she saw that, she was like, let's do it. Why
Yeah.
not? Like she seems like she's not afraid of a challenge.
That's something that I see a lot. A lot of people being like, too careful with the celebrities, afraid of like what they want to do, what they don't, when in reality they want to create like an amazing image just like you do. So I'm very easy with that, like in those scenarios.
Yeah.
I'm very chill.
Yeah, and I think because you're so used to also being able to translate your vision today as,
Yeah.
the stylist that you are today, maybe compared to a celebrity stylist that would be more like careful, on what they do because they work with these people all the time. They want to make sure they're comfortable.
Yeah.
You were just like,
Probably been
we're
through a
doing something
lot.
different here. We're doing something completely different here. So we're trying this out. And you're fearless about that because
They might be
of
traumatized. No?
don't bring shoe back, the latex, the latex. No, but that's incredible to see and so happy to know that she went for it because it
Yeah.
was
She's super
to me,
professional. Super professional.
like a viral situation. It was a moment that was like, whoa, like I was about to like write to you like what the hell just happened? Like
The
this is
TikTokers were going
iconic.
crazy. The TikToks were going like, this is how you do it.
Like you go, Shu, and she was like patting herself in the back.
Oh my god. It was super
Like
funny
beijo
to
no
see
ombro,
that.
like we say in
Yeah.
Brazil,
That's something amazing of nowadays, that you can see people's reaction. This is new. This is completely new.
Because before it was just you thinking the job was good and that was it, and maybe
Yeah.
your editor telling you like, oh, that was
you
great.
don't know people's reaction. Now you get like the people like,
Even a bigger and exciting reason, guys, today to be a creative behind the scenes because now we have more opportunities to be out there than ever and to get that credit that we always wanted to get, right, in today's world in the internet. And
that's
I'm
true.
sure you felt really great about it.
yeah, and who doesn't love some claps,
Exactly. We all do. We're all human beings, guys. And Ju, I want to keep having a little more fun with you here, as we always do together, and ask you some burning questions about, the crazy things that we really, truly live behind the scenes that people have no idea about. Like we were saying, oh, people think it's glamorous. It's this. Yes, it's glamorous parts, but mostly it's a lot of hard work and a lot of craziness around you and so much responsibility. So let's start with some burning questions for you here.
Okay.
What was the craziest thing you ever had to do to get a styling job done, to get that job done that, you probably don't do regularly, but you're like, whoa, like that was crazy. Like I had to do this crazy thing to make it happen.
Okay, I'm gonna tell about one that did not get done.
Okay, but that's good. That's good. You still had to go through it, so that's what matters.
Oh my god! So it was actually the last issue of Elle when it closed, and we didn't know that it was gonna close because
Right.
it was sudden. But for that last issue, it was a whole issue at Amazonia in Brazil.
In the Amazon forest.
Yes.
Wow.
The whole issue was there. We had the collaboration with the state, to do that. So it was like a very organized shoot and all of this. I was coming from the US with 5 luggages.
Wow.
And so many clothes, amazing clothes, amazing. And the way that I used to do back then when I traveled was I would get a letter from the magazine saying that we were doing that shoot. I would get like a list of like all the items itemized on this, explaining what was the purpose, of that shoot. Because when you have samples, they're not for commercial use, therefore they cannot be taxed when you travel internationally.
Absolutely, because they're not even for sale yet. They're the collection that
Exactly.
walked the runway, right? Just so you guys understand, and they haven't even been put a price on yet because
Yeah.
they're not being sold at the store. They're just
They're
being
samples.
shown, right, for magazines to already put them out for people to see,
Yeah.
and for celebrities to wear before they come out, so they have more chances of getting sold, right?
Exactly, yes. Advertising,
Exactly.
basically, is the purpose of that sample. So I would travel with that. The thing is that internationally, you have to have like a document that you can have that doesn't apply to us, because for you to get that document, you need to have those things like a week before and bring it to a place. But we know that this
Yeah.
is like hard for us. Anyway, that was my experience in my in my case, in my company and all
Right.
of that. There might be
Absolutely.
some other people that like have like lawyers and stuff that like have it better figured out. Anyway, we didn't.
Yeah.
We did the best that we could at the time with this, and so we were in. I've done that many times before. That I went through customs and
And
I
no
showed
problem.
them, and no problem. Like I showed this document, explaining that, which is what I had researched back then. It was oriented, and no problem always. This one time that I was going to Amazonia, the Amazon. Um, my flight was delayed and I got there like 2 a.m. and there was not the actual person that
That
checks
checks
that
this
back then.
document, right.
Yes, it was like somebody else like filling in for him, and he was like, okay, well, like all these brands, all these names, like what is, I don't know how to deal with that. So he retained the 5 items.
Oh my god.
That was for the whole shoot. That was like the most special clothes for the whole shoot, for the whole issue. Like we had some Brazilian brands as well over there
that you were
I
gonna
was
pick up in
bringing.
Brazil, but
Yeah, but we were bringing like all the big, and I was bringing for my fellow stylists as well, because it was three stylists
I
doing
would
that.
have had my heart ripped out of my chest.
So anyway, I left the. They retained it. I left the airport, got a hotel next to the airport, and I was hoping that the next day everything would be figured out,
Figured
because I
out.
had everything there. I had all the paperwork that has worked like many times before, and they didn't release it.
Oh my god, Ju.
That happened for a week every day.
You were going into the airport to see what you could do.
Then they activated like the lawyers of the publishing company. Everybody went there. They were like trying to figure it out. And there was nothing they could do, because it's kind of like I believe like an organ that it's kind of the last word, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like there's not much that you can do once they decide.
They decide,
They're
and
the
that's
ones that decide.
the part that is difficult is like you get someone that's not willing to work with you, and they're like, no,
Yes.
this is the law and this is it. So then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, there's nothing else.
We had a collaboration of the state of Amazon, like calling them and like saying that's how big they are, I guess, and like customs, like it's their final authority.
Ju, that's actually one of the craziest stories I've heard. So that was a great.
Yeah, and every day I was going like back and forth from the airport, and every day I thought I was gonna go, so I didn't have any clothes, and I wasn't leaving the airport hotel, and so I was like for a week with the same clothes.
Oh my god.
I would like shower and put back the same clothes, because every day I thought that I was okay. Now we're going. Now we're going.
That wears the same outfit.
My God.
Oh, Ju.
And I had everything there, because like it was like everything mixed up. And as you know, as stylists, when they travel, they don't bring their own clothes.
We only
right?
bring the clothes for the project or for the artist. We barely
So,
take
yeah.
care of our own
So I
aesthetic
didn't
at
even
that
have
point.
much anyway, And he was there.
Ju.
Yes.
What a
And,
difficult situation.
Yeah, and after that, I had to deal with the brands and explain to them what happened, and and I had to put them in touch with the lawyer so that the lawyer could explain that this is what really happened.
Right, and you're not like making this up, like, oh, I decided to stay with the clothes.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you see?
Yeah.
In every job you do, there's risks, and I
Yeah.
think that especially in our crazy world that we do things so unconventionally, a lot can go wrong.
A lot can go wrong.
So,
Yes.
and she's still here and she's still thriving and she's still styling. So, guys, if you're ever going through this, there's a
I
light
always think of when
at
we
the
are
end
on
of the tunnel.
location, like how many things could go wrong here right now.
So many.
A snake could come, like attack us in the middle of the forest where we are.
Literally,
it's the
literally.
things that we're putting ourselves through. There's no way to protect ourselves from that.
For
like,
sure.
you know?
I've been in so many of these situations, and I think the hardest part is what you said, is explaining, because the brands are obviously not with you at the shoot.
Yeah.
So you can say something, but they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not there. I don't know what the hell is going on. And you're like, well, the snake bit or like something happened. And so, just that part is the most scary part, is like
the
explaining
dog ate
to
the
them.
dress.
Like when you're a kid that you say the dog ate your
My
homework, when you go
here's
to the
like
teacher.
the dog ate the dress.
It's a similar feeling. It's a similar feeling.
Oh
So
my
now
God.
going to the next one, to the next
Okay.
burning question. What would you say is the most insane demand or request that you've ever received from a client or from a boss?
Oh God. Okay, so there is a person that I've worked with a couple of times. Every time had its own difficulty. Let's not, get into
Little
that
inside scoop
person
for you guys
is.
here today.
Anyway, she has a fame for this kind of stuff. Like, there's like many stories about it, like including like violence and shit.
Wow.
With me, thank God it wasn't any of that.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
But it was this thing of like, okay, so I'm gonna mention a few mild ones and go to the bad one. So there was like situations where we would be like, waiting to shoot, everything like set up, and she would be like inside the motorhome, like on the phone, like gossiping with a friend for hours,
And
then
people
they would
are on
have
the
to,
clock.
and they will have to change the light, because like the light would start like going down, and they will have to like change the light as she would be delayed. So when she would come out, they will have to change the light, and at that moment we would lose her again because she would go back in, and we have to change the light again. It was a mess. And then in other situations, I've had like her stealing stuff, jewelry. Oh my god.
That's crazy. That is difficult to deal, because how do you explain that to the brand as well? And also the lack of care for the time of everybody in the team of just being in a trailer, and it's like, we gotta get this done.
And at least people know that now, so it's easier to explain maybe, but still like a huge problem. And then one time she went out, like, because usually like when you give jewelry to celebrities, to
Absolutely.
The clients, usually there's like a security person that like follows them around during the event, and as soon as the event is over, they take the jewelry back, right? She went partying with the
Oh my god.
and the poor security guard had to be like out like all day, like super scared, because he couldn't protect her, protect her, take care of the jewelry like inside. And anyway, there was that. But the craziest one for me personally was when I had to, so I sent an assistant to for a fitting with her, and I told my assistant, like, hey, be very close to the stuff, because sometimes they disappear.
How crazy.
So,
oh my god.
Don't let go of the clothes for a minute, like keep your eyes on them. But she decided that she didn't like the aura of the person. She decided she didn't like her aura, so she started like freaking out. I don't like your aura. You need to get out of here. Like freaking out. And my assistant started crying.
Oh my
And it was a whole thing, because she knew that she
God.
couldn't leave, because like I instructed her to not leave the stuff, because I had no idea that this was gonna happen. And she said it was like a whole thing, like crazy. Yeah. In the end, she had to leave, and the stuff stayed there.
That's what I was
and this
gonna
time
say.
She didn't steal.
Oh wow, when she was alone, then she didn't do that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was one of the craziest ones I've heard, guys. So that was a real scoop and treat for you guys here today. And now, another light-hearted question here that I wanted to just ask you quickly before I get into something that's so important for me, which are the lessons, is if you weren't a stylist, Juliana Gimenez, what would you be?
So recently, I feel like maybe a decorator. Yeah.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That goes hand in hand with creativity and what you do.
I love that. Like Kelly Wessler,
She's
I
huge.
feel, like her process is very similar to our process of creating. I've seen that on her masterclass actually. That she gathers like the pieces and fabrics and like little momentums, and with that she creates like her own mood board, and I think that's very interesting. That's probably what
I agree. And I think that even brings back to you being a kid again, right? And working with your hands and the fabrics and the beads.
And I love to do that, like on my free time, like changing something, painting.
I've seen you paint your whole house.
All my apartments is my thing. Every time that I move, I paint everything. Now that my boyfriend does it, but
you have help. Shout out to.
But I choose the colors.
To you,
and I make company, and I help with the details, because I'm not good at the details.
So you need to supervise that work. You need to put your boss cap on and supervise that work. And now getting to one of my favorite parts, what is probably the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout your career, as a stylist or as a creative in general, that you wish you had learned earlier, or someone told you, like, Ju, don't do this, or like, or it can be anything from truly like work to mental, to like, what do you wish you knew before that you can share with our creatives?
I was never that bad at not knowing that, but like, being kind to people that you work with, because that reflects, it brings it back to you.
Absolutely.
I don't feel like I've ever was like rude to anybody, but maybe at some point, especially like right after coming from like very tough stylists that I worked with, maybe I was like very exigent.
Like very tough on them, like making sure that everything was so perfect, right?
Exactly. Which maybe it wasn't even that bad, because it's part of the, it's the job, we're here to do a job, we want to do it well. And I was stricter,
more strict, right?
Back then. And now I'm a little bit more like easygoing, but at the same time, if I realize that an assistant is not, has made a mistake like more than one time, I'm always going to be very nice to them, always going to be, kind to them, but maybe they don't work for me, maybe
Exactly.
maybe it's not the right person to continue. Well, like before, maybe I was more like, hey, we have to do this, this is our job, that's how we have to do. So it's something that I changed. I don't know exactly if it's like, better or worse, but for sure, being kind to people would be the lesson that
I couldn't
would
agree
give
more.
to
That's an
people.
amazing
Yeah.
one.
It
That's
brings
an
back to
amazing
you
one.
just have a nice environment, like you have more fun, like enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because we got in this business because we love it, because that's our
Absolutely.
passion. If we wanted to be rich, we would be like a lawyer.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. It's not like we didn't decide to getting this for the money.
Right.
I don't think nobody in
Yeah.
this industry decided for the money. We decided because of the passion.
Right.
So
And the money comes with time, right? And with
when
patience.
you're good at
Yeah.
something, the money will come.
Exactly.
For sure. But that's not the reason why we got into this, different than some other professions that maybe you get that one because, this is going to pay well,
Yeah.
which makes sense. It's okay. But yeah, since we decided to do this because of passion, because we love it, at least we should, have
Be
fun
kind
with
to
it.
each other.
Like be kind, have a nice environment, a fun environment, like respect that passion, and that everybody else in that that set has
Feels
the
the
passion
same way.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I don't
That's
understand
amazing.
the whole thing of like people that are mean or have ego and all of that. I really don't understand.
Because we're all here for the art at the end of the day, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's really what makes people really successful. Is like, I know that so many people are successful even when they go after a job, of course, that they think they're gonna make money off, and sometimes it's a necessity, they don't have a choice. So I totally respect that.
Absolutely.
But I also feel like starting something for passion, even if you're struggling for a few, right, is something that really brings a lot of reward later to you in
Yeah.
every single way. That being, feeling fulfilled, that being money later on. But I feel like when you invest in your talent, your passion, and yourself, even if it takes more time than a regular job or something that traditional that would bring money, it ends up paying back. And especially
Yeah.
when you have the kindness involved and people that share your same passion and appreciate
Absolutely.
you for
Yeah.
for your work,
Yeah.
right?
It's the most cliche thing ever, but that phrase of I don't know who said it, but if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. It's the most true thing ever. Because I have like many friends that work in a business that they don't love. Like, and I have conversations with them. One of them once told me, and I never forgot, that he would start Monday waiting for Friday.
Oh wow, that is not good.
That's a lot of days missed.
That is not good. Yeah.
It's like
It's like so much of, and
Yeah.
life is so short, right? And I think this is another huge reason we are here as the MV series and we built this platform, is to show that there's so many jobs out there, creative jobs that
yes,
exist,
so many.
that probably a lot of the people back home weren't aware about before.
And every day more.
And every day more. So
Every day
it is
more now.
possible to work with your passion. And I
Yeah.
think it's my goal to help as many people as possible to really be able to find their way through their passion and still live out of that and still be
Yeah.
okay with that and be happy, which is the most
Yeah.
important thing in this world.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the final, kind of question we love to put here at the MV series and kind of wrap up everything with is there any chance or any way our creatives can possibly apply to assist you, to learn from you, to, be around your amazing aura in this case, and, be able to kind of learn the ins and the outs by your side?
Oh my God, yes, please. Like I was even like joking to you about this before, that what I need is, so there's any magicians out there, any
Anybody that can read minds, any telepaths, that's what she's looking for.
That's what we need, because we're so like creative people are weird,
Yeah.
like
We are.
we have our abilities, and we focus so much on those abilities that we don't know how to do anything else. So it's kind of like we always need people that are gonna back us up so that we can be as good as we can on the creative
Absolutely.
side.
Teamwork is everything.
Yes,
You need that team.
Yes. So yeah, I'm always looking for people that like can do that, especially in my case, since I have so many different projects going on at the same time, like you mentioned. So sometimes I have my team working on something and I have another project somewhere else that I need that starting as well. So I'm always in need of people wanting to learn and
Amazing.
wanting to give their blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly.
Like
for
we
that.
did in the beginning, because that's how you learn. That's
Exactly.
There's
exactly.
no other way.
And
honestly.
I think, guys, Ju mentioned something to me earlier before we started the interview. We were just having a little coffee here together. And, something important for you guys to note is that I love that you mentioned to me is you don't necessarily need to have all the experience in fashion. It's just, if you're organized, you have that ability to like understand her and really like kind of predict what she needs before, and the rest, that's what she's here to teach you and to live with you for, right?
Yeah, so that's something that I don't put in the description on the when I announce that I'm looking for somebody. I put the description of the job, the description of like how the person should be, what they should have, especially in terms of logistics. Unfortunately, that's a thing. They need to be, if I'm looking for something in the New York area, they need to be in the New York area, etc. They need to be able to commit to, here's the thing here's my exigency. They need to be able to commit full time at non-specific times.
Right, because it is very weird times, guys, when we're doing styling. Sometimes it's late at night, sometimes it's very early in the morning.
Unfortunately,
right?
I wish it was more regulated, but that's the reality. Sometimes we might need to like work. We're not like we don't like go crazy. We need our sleep to eat and everything, but sometimes you have a project, last minute, and you need to like work so much to get that done because you have a deadline. Yeah, that's the thing. You need to work for that deadline. It's just like in the newspapers. You need to get, when you have a deadline, sometimes you go through crazy stuff. Absolutely. Yeah, and then after that we have our time to rest and everything, But they need to have that that thing. But I never put. Here's what I never put. I never put experience. I don't require that at all because my best assistants have come to me without any experience. There you go. And they were the best ones. So there you go. You just need to want it really bad and you need to be like a professional, organized person, like, already, like within yourself. And if you are that, you're just going to adapt that to the grow job. Into the role. Exactly. Yeah. So there you go, guys. You see what she needs and what she expects, but definitely the field is open. So we're going to leave, as always, we have here the email for you guys on the screen, so you guys can email you with your resumes, and of course follow her. She's always putting her opportunities there as well, so you guys can get on that boat and learn as much as you want. Ju, I am so happy that you were able to make it here today with us. Finally, we made it. Finally, my friend. Like, it was, look, blood, sweat, and tears, like she says a lot, for me to get her in this couch because she's so busy, as I said. God. And I couldn't feel more excited, more thrilled to have had you here. You meant so much to me, as I explained to you guys at the beginning of this episode, and I think every day more I want to bring people that either have touched me some way, have helped me some way, and just because I know that what I want to bring into this industry is kindness, and it's really someone that is willing to share their experience so other creatives can grow and become their dream profession. So I couldn't be happier that you were here today. Thank you. I love you. Love you too. Loved it. Creatives, thank you so much for joining us again today. I hope that we were able to kill some of your curiosities about the behind the scenes of fashion and styling today. And before I leave you guys, I would just like to kindly remind you that the MV series is streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. And we also have additional social media on Instagram and TikTok, all under the MV series, as well as under my personal Instagram at Maria Van Stothen. Creatives, please don't forget to subscribe and show us your amazing love so we can show ours right back to you. And can't wait to see you guys once again next week, right here at the MV series.